Welcome to the Motherhood Alliance podcast, the podcast dedicated to empowering moms and families on their health and wellness journey. I'm Brittany Suttner.
And I'm Drea Brit. Together, we're here to explore holistic approaches that go beyond conventional medicine.
Each week, we dive into topics that matter most to you. Everything from nutrition and mental health to alternative therapies and natural living.
And whether you're a new mom navigating the early stages of parenthood or a seasoned pro looking for new ways to support your family's well-being, you're in the right place.
Even better, all of our guests are local small business owners who you can actually talk to and work with. You can learn more about today's guest and connect with hundreds of other health and wellness professionals through our informative and easy-to-use directory at motherhoodalliance.com.
Before we get started, keep in mind that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personal healthcare advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes based on the podcast content.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Are you ready to help your family thrive? Let's get started. Hi, we are Brit and Drea from motherhoodalliance.com, and we are excited to welcome you to a 4-episode series with Stefanie Turzinski, an Appleton-based licensed massage therapist and the founder of Nurtured Roots Prenatal Massage. Stefanie specializes in prenatal, postpartum, and infant massage, and she brings a wealth of knowledge to each client she supports through a custom plan, education, and resource recommendations, which is why her business tagline is total support during pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. Stefanie originally thought she'd focus on sports massage, but once she discovered how powerful touch could be for moms during pregnancy, she knew she had found her calling. Now, as a mom herself, she's even more passionate about helping women feel strong and supported, and loves that she gets to help women move through pregnancy with less pain, shorter labors, fewer complications, and a smoother postpartum recovery every day. Outside of her practice, Stefanie loves spending time outdoors, attending baseball games, and fishing with her husband, 3-year-old daughter, and 1-year-old son. We're excited to welcome Stefanie to the mic today. Let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome back to this Motherhood Alliance podcast. We are excited to welcome Stefanie back in for our 4th episode, and we are going to be talking about self-care. I feel like this is going to be a really great episode, not just to get Stefanie's perspective, but like we're going to kind of roundtable this because we all kind of have different individualized approaches to self-care, and I feel like it is definitely a more individualized term, right? But it is a buzzword, right? Everybody kind of has a different approach or different thought on it. But how would you define self-care, Stefanie?
So I would define it as redefining self-care. It's not like spa days, as a lot of people would, I quote spa days. Think of it as like a self-care as like a luxury versus like self-care is survival and being able to take care of yourself, even if it's just tiny little rituals or habits that you create as a mom.
Yeah. I feel like for me, self-care comes down to the fundamentals, right? The basic needs of what you need, not just the wants. I mean, like we kind of talked about this before that we started the episode, but like getting a new shampoo or, getting my nails done or something, that is nice, but it's a luxury and it makes me feel good. But is it really what I need, or is it more of a want?
Does it make you feel filled?
Yeah.
And like that feeling goes away?
Is it long term or is it more short term? And there's obviously times and places for all that stuff, but I feel like sometimes it can be overdone as far as that the short term needs, I guess, or wants, I should say.
Yeah, I would say like restoring energy, restoring your life, things that make you restore yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, it comes down to like habits and, establishing those fundamentals and habits and things. But for moms, especially, a lot of times we feel guilty for taking some time for ourselves. I think it's important that we have some moments that we are alone if we want, or sometimes we need to surround ourselves with some supportive people, right?
You had even mentioned in a prior episode just the feeling of guilt that moms feel when they leave the house without their baby. And like, why? Why do we do that? Is it because we feel like our spouse can't take care of the baby as well? Is it because we feel like we're burdening them by not having the baby with us? Like, what do you guys think is that feeling?
I honestly think it has a lot to do with connection and just like that connection. Like you can trust, like you're not going to leave your child with somebody that you don't trust. But even if you trust that person, I have clients that trust their spouse, their their parents, daycare, whatever, and they come in and get a massage to give themselves some self-care because they need that 75 minutes of peace and quiet. And it's kind of funny because I can tell the clients that need to just come and take a nap. There's clients that just need to come and talk because they need adult interaction, adult communication, and just to know like that they're not alone. But I think they still have that thoughts in their head where they're like, oh, is my baby okay? Like we're always like that. Whether your baby is 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 25, 30. And like my mom's always like, now I know, now you know how we feel, how I always felt.
Yeah.
They still do.
Yeah, exactly. I almost do feel like control, like us women, we tend to want to control everything because we're in charge of everything. It seems like a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And so like leaving your child, it's how their diaper change isn't going to be done the same way you would do it. Or, you know, they're not going to get fed at that certain time.
Right.
Because you're not there. I mean, I have a almost 12-year-old and an almost 10-year-old right now. And it's crazy, but you just look back and you're like, it's going to be okay if they're, you know, if their diaper wasn't changed the same way you would do it, you know?
Well, I would love for this episode to be kind of just the three of us sharing tips and tricks on different ways that have helped us feel fulfilled on the inside of having our own identity, right? Even outside of motherhood, because I think that we need to, sometimes I need to be Brittany and not mom, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But at the same time, we also need to balance all of it. But before we jump into like tips and roundtabling kind of this topic, I think it's important to touch back on the why. Like, why do we need to have these small rituals or habits or whatever you want to call them? And why is self-care important? And I think, Drea, you had talked about this before we even jumped on the mics here of just, we're talking about baseline needs to feel good physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, in every way. So I don't know, what do you guys think as kind of your why into some of the habits that you've built?
Yeah, I would say like for me, like self-care to me is just taking care of my God-given body, my mind and my spirit, right? That's to me, right? So it's like the basic fundamentals that make me feel fulfilled versus if I were to get a new shampoo or like a whatever, something nails done, like I mentioned before, it's kind of like, I don't think I would consider that self-care. That's like, I'm not sure of a word I would describe that. I would more describe that as like a,
that's more of like your luxury self-care
that's a
versus your
luxury.
actually need of self-care.
Yeah, if I could think of a better word for that, but it's not like self-care shouldn't, you know, I don't know. It should be more about the basic needs of fulfillment. And again, everybody's different. That's the thing too, is that my definition is going to be different than somebody else's.
I feel like for me, a huge piece of the routines that I've put in place throughout my different seasons of motherhood, because it changes,
yes,
right?
Definitely
with
changes.
each season, honestly has been for my mental sanity. I am someone who gets touched out really easily. So when my kids were babies, like having to constantly hold them, I feel bad saying it, but like this is just how I am ingrained, is that I needed space to not have somebody touching me. Will I take a hug from a friend? Absolutely. But do I need somebody hanging on me all the time? I need a mental break. And so for me, I feel like the mental aspect of having these habits and taking a hot shower and just getting that 2 minutes of just my own space is really what I needed, because then I can return to my kids better, mentally ready to play with them and have more patience with them and all of that stuff. What about you, Steph?
Yeah, so I would say the same kind of thing with the mental and emotional side of self-care. Just being able to like reset your nervous system, whether you have 2 minutes, 2 hours, just finding something that like restores your energy and can reset yourself. Some of the like self-care ones kind of go back to what I was talking about, like journaling in another episode. Journaling, whether you like reading, just taking that time in that space to just to be with yourself and just give yourself that break that you may need. Like whether it's by yourself or with the right people that you want to be with, just taking yourself to get a coffee or just waking up a couple minute earlier, just to be able to sit there with your hot coffee. Like you said too, Brit, it changes throughout motherhood. Like there's always, right now I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and my 1-year-old still wakes up sometimes during the night to nurse, and that's okay because it's only a stage of life. Like it's gonna change, and you never know when it's gonna change. You never know how long it's gonna take, but you always get through it, and you just have to find tiny little rituals or habits throughout motherhood that can help fill your cup.
Mm-hmm. And like in your season, when you're waking up in the middle of the night to feed a baby, your season might include a 10-minute nap, right? Because that's what you need. Whereas as much as I really would love a nap every day, I don't really need it anymore because I'm able to sleep through the night with the age of my kids. And so I think just giving yourself grace through each season and knowing that things can change, and really I love what you talk about with journaling stuff and like going for walks by yourself, because that's when you can like really reflect on what brings me peace, what helps me feel grounded, what helps me regulate my nervous system, right? Like for me, it's been hot showers. I told my husband when my kids were infants, I'm like, at least every other day, I need you to take the kiddo. I'm going to blast some music so I can't hear them crying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit in the shower for as long as I need to and just breathe, right? Now I really love just going for walks, and I don't even bring podcasts with. I just observe nature. That really fulfills me.
Yeah.
Drea, what are some of the habits that you've instilled in your life?
Yeah. And again, it's all through seasons, right? And it takes time to establish some good self-care habits too. But, getting up in the morning, I usually like to get a workout in the morning too. That really helps me feel better throughout the day. And I'd say too, like, because I work from home, and so if I can take like an hour before I go pick up the kids from school and do something for myself, and not necessarily like clean the kitchen or that sort of thing. Sometimes that makes me feel better about my basic needs of sanity. But even just reading a book. I love reading books. I love walking, petting my dog. Dogs are great.
Cuddles. With the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they need it too, especially once you have kids. I mean, my dogs were around before. I know you guys both have puppies now, but my dogs they're 11 and 7, and the oldest one, I always laugh because it's like he gets more and more independent the more and more we add to our family.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you still need cuddles too, buddy.
I know. Oh, yeah, you're there. Yeah, you need that. I would say, too, is I've been really focusing more on, and I've always been good about nutrition, but just like thinking about how I can really fill my plate with more nutritional kinds of foods and varieties. And so when my kids were little, that probably wasn't going to happen as much, just because I did not have the mindset at the time necessarily. And I didn't like think about or have time, I would say, I didn't make the time, I should say, to think about that stuff. So really thinking more about how I can nurture myself and have that basic need filled with the good nutrition is important.
You're making me think about when we talk about these habits that we can instill for self-care, some of it is also how can we make our daily tasks to be less stressful. Yeah. To me, that's a huge portion of self-care.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I think about when my youngest was around 15 or 18 months, whenever she started sleeping through the night on a consistent basis, I started getting up at 5 a.m. And that's because I wanted to wake up as me and not mom. I needed that time to just do whatever I needed to do. Drink a hot coffee, go for a walk, do a workout, read my Bible, like whatever I needed to do to start out my day as me. And I've gone in waves on this. I'm pretty transparent on this podcast that I jump on bandwagons and then I fall off of them on a regular basis.
It also goes along with the seasons of life.
Right. Yeah.
Also, you're human. So,
But one of the things that I do try and still do is meal planning. Because if I have my meal planned and I have my meat out of the freezer and it's thawing, and I can know that what the plan is for that night, that takes stress off of my plate. And that is self-care to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree on the meal planning. My husband and I, he does all the cooking. Usually he used to take a day and just make meals for 4 to 6 days, and we'd have it in the fridge. So you wouldn't have to worry about like, oh, what are we going to have for lunch today? What are we going to have for dinner today? And it would just be there. And it was a lot less stressful. Like you just warm something up or throw something easy together. I think self-care is just kind of making life easier, whether it's organization, doing what you love to fill up your cup, and like walks, exercise.
I would also say healthy relationships too.
Yeah. Healthy relationships with friends, family, your kids, which also having those and then also having self-care, they can lead into each other. But one of my biggest like self-care things that I have recently been doing is a lot of like breath work and meditation, whether that be with somebody or just being out in nature, grounding. We love running around our yard barefoot.
What does your breath work look like from a routine standpoint? How many minutes are you typically doing? What are you doing?
So that also depends on how much time I give myself to do it. But there's a couple videos on YouTube that I like to follow that are like 2 to 5 minutes. And then I also have a friend that teaches breath work, and I'll do like 45-minute ones with her, which recently also kind of leads into events and stuff, especially events and stuff that I've been doing and adding into my business as well. But also another self-care thing for me is my business, because I feel like a lot of the times it's not like to say like what you were saying, Brit, not to like sound bad and feel bad, but it's also part of the stages of life as well in motherhood. Going to work, I feel like, is where I get to like feel myself. And I'm very passionate about like what I do, and I love doing what I do. And it makes me feel and know that like I always have this space to go to be myself, whether I get to talk to my clients about their birth stories. We get to share that, share like my birth story to make them like feel empowered that they can do it, and not just to fear things. Fear, I feel like, is big part of like self-care too, where to listen to and read the right, correct things, where you have that like right mindset.
Encouragement, right?
Yeah, encouragement, mindset. Mindset is always one of my like biggest things with self-care, pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. Mindset and grace are my 2 favorite words for throughout motherhood. Going back to like buying shampoo and stuff like that. I love like, I feel like one of my biggest self-care things, and for my family and for like me being like that kind of provider, is to do a lot of research and stuff about like non-toxic products. Is like, I feel like I thrive on that. So that's like not buying the shampoo, but like buying the products. Like my daughter wanted a bath bomb, but I didn't want it to have a million dyes in it. And so I like found Rocasa's bath bombs, and she loves them. And I know that they help her, and she gets, relief and muscle relief, and she can have fun with it.
I was gonna say, okay, drop your favorite brands. What says your research revealed?
Yes. So my favorite brands would be Rocasa Organics, Dr. Green Mom Organics, and Just Ingredients for pretty much everything that I use, and Truly Free I use for laundry and that as well. And then my most recent purchase was an water ionizer.
Ooh, yeah.
So I'm really excited to start incorporating that into my business and my life, whether it be just drinking it, you can clean and stuff with it. But yeah, those 3, I would say, is Just Ingredients, Dr. Green Mom Organics is where I get a lot of my supplements from in them. And then I'll like my health, my like beauty care and stuff I've been getting from Rocasa Organics.
You mentioned, I want to touch one more time on the self-care being, for some moms, it's going to work or, working in their business or whatever. And for some moms, it's going to be more, being home with their kids, right? Even if it's hard, either way, life isn't easy. Life's never going to be easy, but it is really, again, we talked about this in the beginning, self-care, that word is very individualized, and how we view it is going to be different for everybody. And so, we all kind of pretty much agree on the same thing. It's just sometimes what you do, Stefanie, or what Brittany does is going to be a little bit different from what I'm doing. And it's all about priorities, right? And establishing some good habits and just taking care of yourself.
Right. And with moms, it's like taking care of yourself can also have the ripple effect on, if you take care of yourself, it'll help your family in the long run as well, whether it be your spouse, your work, even your work environment, whether you work or not. Stay-at-home moms, they work harder than, I feel like anybody.
Yeah.
That's a hard task. And like the same going through motherhood, there's always the seasons. And
I do love your phrase that I think you shared at the beginning of this episode, that self-care is survival. It's not luxury. And so can you have luxury in your self-care routine? Sure.
Yeah.
You can go shopping if you love that, and you can, do luxury-based things, but what it is survival. Like, in order for us to have these joy-filled lives, we need to have things that fill us, right? And that's okay. Right. There shouldn't be any guilt around it. One more thing on expanding that I think has helped for me is just trying to put systems in place, especially when it comes to housework and, like I said, meal planning and things like that. And I'm not perfect at it. I'm constantly changing things. But if I can get in the routine of like every Monday is when I vacuum, and every other week is like kind of putting a schedule together. It's like we do this for our kids, right? They work better when they have schedules.
And having things like written down as like a checklist, so you can be like, you've checked it off, which makes you feel accomplished and that you were productive for that day or hour or whatever you need. I recently was talking to all my clients. I have sticky notes all over my computer, my laptop, and I have them in my car as well. So every time you forget something or remember something, then you always have a sticky note to write it on. And moms with mom brain, we always forget things. But yeah, I think that's a great part of self-care too.
Yeah, I love this. I think it's great. Just the three of us can get together, share some things that have worked for us. I hope you guys listening have found a tip or two that you can maybe implement into your life. And just, if nothing else, know that you're not alone. Know that motherhood is hard. We're in this trench together. Eventually these kids are going to be off and we're going to be empty nesters, and holy moly, does that make your stomach rumble? Turn like it does for me?
Yeah. My neighbors just became empty nesters like Sunday. Like their kids are in college. I'm like, how does that feel? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll check in with you in a month or so. How about that? Because wow, what a change.
It's going to be loads of emotions for that, like good, bad, and like, what do we do now?
I know. Well, hopefully preparing ahead of time will help. But
and this is where if you're married, maintaining that relationship with your spouse throughout this busy season is so important, so that you don't look at each other at that time and be like, who are you? I haven't really talked to you in the last 15 years because we've been busy raising kids. So
be in those trenches together.
Yeah. Well, let's turn back to your business, Stefanie. Really briefly, I'd love to just finish out our 4-part series by finding out, what does the future of Nurtured Roots Prenatal Massage hold?
Well, there's always going to be the prenatal and postpartum massage and teaching infant massage. And then I see therapeutic massage for women. But recently I've always loved being in the community and doing events, whether it be chair massage, Motherhood Alliance events now. They're always fun to do, and just meeting new people, whether they become clients or not, like just being in the community and sharing like my knowledge and education. Recently been working up some new collaborations with other businesses. So keep an eye on my Facebook page for that. Different events that may be coming up.
Awesome. And just as a reminder for you guys, if you have not listened to all the episodes, that Stefanie is offering $45 off a massage service. All you have to do is mention the Motherhood Alliance podcast when you book with her, and she'll honor that. So Stefanie, if someone would like to take advantage of that, how can they contact you?
They can check out my website at nurturedrootsprenatalmassage.com and schedule on there, and then just either put in the notes, or when they after their appointment, they can let me know how they heard about me. Or they can also reach me by either calling or texting 715-502-2510 or emailing hello@nurturedrootsprenatalmassage.com.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us for these 4 episodes. We're so thankful that you are blessing so many women in our area.
Thank you. It's been fun.
If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider leaving a rating or review, or sharing it directly with a friend who could benefit from the information? We know that you're a busy mom or caregiver, and our goal is to make your life easier by bringing tips and tricks directly from experts into your earbuds. By sharing this episode with someone you love, you can play a critical role in helping to make their life easier as well. We appreciate your time, and thank you for being a part of the Motherhood Alliance family.